We have a jam-packed morning for you, so let's get started by introducing the 2018-19 incoming chairman of WSWA, Barkley Stuart from Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits. Barkley helps lead the Southern Glazer's government and industry affairs team. He provides representation at the state and federal level for that organization. Prior to Southern and Glazer's combination in 2016, he worked at Dallas-based Glazers Incorporated in roles ranging from E&J Gallo salesman to COO. His background includes more than 2 decades of experience in the wine and spirits industry. And beyond his day job, Barkley is a passionate activist, philanthropist, and civic leader. He serves on the advisory board of Women of the Wine and Spirits and holds board positions with Drizzly, Colette Vacations, North Country School, and the Devereaux Foundation. He's a graduate of Brown University and has an executive MBA from Harvard Business School as well. And while I could go on, and maybe I should let Barkley tell a story about Barkley.
Hey, thanks a whole lot, Craig. You're ditching us, and I'm left to introduce myself. I'll give it my best shot. I'm Barkley Stuart. I'm your new chairman of the WSWA this year. I'm married to Ann Glazer, who's a third-generation Glazer. We have 2 amazing children, Lyle and Josephine. But I'm particularly excited to be here at the convention and with everyone in Las Vegas and all the exciting things we're going to be doing. If you give me just a second, I'll be right out. So Mick Jagger's 75 as well. Welcome to the 75th Annual Convention of the Wine and Spirits Wholesalers of America. It is wonderful to see so many friends and colleagues here. Like you, I've attended this event for years, though I'm also very pleased to welcome those who are here for the first time. 34 years ago, I met my wife and best friend, Ann Glazer, on an airplane. Though that is a story for another time, it started the process of my being here today. 20 years ago, I joined Glazers and all of you in this industry. In Texas, there is an expression among us non-natives, I'm not from Texas, but I got here as fast as I could. Let me say the same for the wine and spirits business. And though I have attended this convention for 20 years, this is my first time as the chair of WSWA. On behalf of all of us, I'd like to thank my predecessor, Carmen Martinetti, for his wisdom and leadership over the past year. He is a skilled, thorough, and gentle leader. Carmen, thank you very much for your service. I'm honored to step into this role and energized by our commitment to expand opportunities for all of us in this industry. Serving on WSWA's executive committee for the past 8 years, I have seen firsthand how effective this organization is at advocating for and advancing our shared interests. We are effective because of the voices and contributions of all of you. We are strong today because for the past 11 years, we've had Craig Wolf as our leader. Craig has made countless contributions, but I think first of the incredibly strong team he has built for us. They give tirelessly, and we are lucky to have each and every one of you. By all measures, we are more influential today because of Craig's leadership. Craig, we wish you the very best as you launch a new chapter in your life. We thank you for your outstanding service. Please join me also in thanking Craig. So it's never been a more interesting time to be involved with the WSWA. The pace of change is relentless. Southern Glazers is no exception. We are experiencing change as well. As you know, in July of 2016, we merged Southern Wine and Spirits and Glazers. At Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, Wayne, Brad, Shelley, and many, many others are leading the integration with enterprise-wide projects to make us one company. The change taking place around us is what is driving us to evolve. Navigating it to our advantage is a challenge we all face. For its part, WSWA is working to meet these demands by continuing to build on the association's core services, representing wholesalers to Congress, regulators, and courts, our public affairs programs, education on the value of the three-tier system, advocating for social responsibility and the prevention of underage access, and providing value-added programs for our members. Our recently completed strategic plan sharpens our focus around key areas to better serve our members and ensure our continued relevance. These areas include, first, ensuring that the WSWA is not only your link to Congress and Washington, D.C., but also your voice with state legislative initiatives to provide seamless representation across both federal and state challenges in all 50 states. Second, WSWA continues to advocate for important tax provisions. For example, during this past year's debate and passage of tax reform, the first draft of the bill treated our businesses unfairly. WSWA went to work instantly and was able to correct the final version of the bill so that you, our members, are treated equitably. Third, we want to understand and adapt to consumer desires for how and when they want to buy our products. For example, these days, everything is delivered. WSWA has vetted technology partners that can help distributors promote consumer access and convenience while respecting the safety of the three-tier system. An early success in this area is WSWA's support of Drizzly. Drizzly connects consumers with local beverage retailers online or via their mobile phone, where consumers can browse selection and price. Purchases can be delivered to their home within an hour. Drizzly is advancing our suppliers' marketing needs by reaching customers more accurately and efficiently. By partnering with Drizzly, Tito's, Diageo, and other suppliers are finding that e-commerce is both their fastest growing channel as well as their most profitable and easily measurable consumer. The work with Drizzly is an example of how WSWA is looking to both innovate and find ways for distributors to say yes to consumer demands. You may have seen the recent announcement regarding WSWA's new SIP source depletion data project. For the first time ever, we will have data that gives a precise picture of how brands are performing in the US market. With this data, suppliers and wholesalers can effectively partner to build brands. Without the broad participation of WSWA's members, SIPSource would not have value and it would simply not exist. Look for the first report to be published this fall. Fourth, look for our survey to evaluate the convention. WSWA is committed to making the convention as relevant and vital as ever. So please fill out those surveys. We would like to hear from you. Another new initiative at WSWA is the Women's Leadership Council, chaired by Dina Opici and Philana Bouvier. The WLC creates more pathways for women to learn and advance in our industry. Collectively, I believe we are looking at a huge opportunity, but one that we are not yet positioned to fully realize. Which brings me to a topic, if I can be so bold, I have chosen as my theme for my year as chairman. It is the urgent need to advance more women leaders and promote more diversity in the wine and spirits business. I come to my belief in the absolute value of diversity by way of the first woman in my life, my mother, and the exposure she provided me to the women's movement growing up in the 1960s in Greenwich Village. My mother was an early feminist. She produced a series of documentaries about people that she would say were endlessly talked about, but rarely ever listened to. Her series was appropriately called Are You Listening? And was broadcast on PBS in the 1970s. My mom used to say to me from as early as I can remember, Barkley, I am not going to raise a chauvinist, and I believe she did not. After my mother's death, my sister and I continued her business, training women's organizations to use video as a tool for social development and change. I saw firsthand the impact of women's presence in decision-making, in governments, in churches, in businesses, in schools, and in families. I was fortunate to work with a women's cooperative bank in India, teenagers working on health and sexuality in Nigeria, two very different but incredibly powerful non-governmental organizations in Bangladesh, and Chinese scientists working with villagers to develop self-sufficient energy sources. The message was always the same. When women are at the table, better decisions are made. The companies that figure out how to retain and advance more women leaders first will reap significant benefits. Yet, it is indisputable that women and people of color in our industry remain an untapped and underutilized pool of talent, and that is hurting our bottom line. My colleague Mel Dick says, business success comes from having a sales team that knows and looks like its customer base. Does your team represent your customer base? If you remember nothing else from my address today, remember that there are dollars in diversity. Let me say that again. There are dollars in diversity. Companies with greater gender diversity are more competitive and therefore more profitable. They better reflect the voice of the customer and make better decisions and make more money. The data supporting the benefits of diversity is strong. One of the most comprehensive studies on this is the Women in the Workplace study by McKinsey & Company and leanin.org. Southern Glazers has joined this study in 2018 through our relationship with Women's Food Service Forum. Hattie Hill, the CEO of WFF, is here in attendance today to show her support and appreciation to WSWA. Many of you have joined as well by signing up with McKinsey and WFF. Thank you. McKinsey has data from more than 200 companies representing over 12 million employees. They have extensive data on women's progress, or lack thereof, in the workplace. McKinsey has found that companies in the top quartile for gender diversity on their executive teams are 21% more likely to experience above average profits. Credit Suisse Research Institute examined more than 2,300 companies. They found that companies with one or more women on their board delivered higher average returns on equity, lower net debt to equity, and better than average growth. Research by Gallup found that gender diverse business units in a hospitality company had 19% higher average profit than less diverse units. Every study shows we do better when we work together in more diverse environments. Yet, despite all this, data on women are making far less progress than you might imagine. McKinsey says that at the pace we are going, it will take more than 100 years to reach gender equity at senior levels. On average, women earn just 80 cents for every dollar a man earns. Even for young women just starting their careers today, 130 men are promoted beyond entry level for every 100 women promoted. Removing barriers and opening doors of opportunity to women and diverse candidates is the right thing to do, but it's also the smart thing to do, because early adopters are going to reap big wins, and here's why. Women account for 85% of all consumer purchases, and 70% of alcohol purchasing decisions are made by women. Women also account for 56% of online alcohol delivery customers. Allowing the voice of the woman consumer to be absent from senior leadership is compromising our businesses. It must change. I'm proud of some of the early steps we have taken at Southern Glazers to address diversity. As I mentioned earlier, we will participate in the 2018 Women in the Workplace study. This is a tremendous opportunity, and I encourage every organization here to take advantage of it. Good data is always the best first step to understanding how your company is performing regarding gender equity, and it will enable us to benchmark our progress and then act on it. We at Southern Glazers are conducting diversity and inclusion unconscious bias training company-wide. We have formed internal organizations around underrepresented groups like women, veterans, people of color, and LGBTQ team members. We are also exploring the role of sponsorship in addition to mentorship in career progress. We are expanding our use of executive education and identifying our future women leaders to attend. We are conducting company-wide focus groups to ensure we know what is working and what can improve. We are, in sum, responding to the question of how we can do a better job in this area for women and all underrepresented groups at our company. So I started out telling you that we are surrounded by change and that embracing change is both good and inevitable. Success is a function of recognizing and adapting to change. We need to constantly apply ourselves as an industry when it comes to change. We need to listen to our customers and consumers and reflect in our workforce the makeup of the market we sell to. Together, we can influence the rate of change with a commitment to advancing more women leaders and promoting more diversity. We must realize this opportunity and meet the challenge. Our industry and our company have long committed to supporting scholarships and aid to our employees during times of hardships. We have committed to supporting community and civic organizations with industry-leading philanthropic programs, and we have long recognized the importance of investing in training and educating our workforce and customer base. What I'm suggesting today is a logical, natural extension to these efforts. In closing, I want to offer a few near-term actions that we as leaders can adopt to drive progress on diversity. Join the WFF McKinsey study and use your data to drive change in your business. Set goals and measure your progress. Insist on diverse candidate pools when you hire. One of our Southern Glazer's Wine and Spirits leaders told me a story recently. His manager presented 3 resumes of white men for an open position. The leader told his manager, "You cannot tell me there is not a diverse candidate qualified to do this job. Until you can show me a diverse pool of candidates, I'm not willing to fill the position." I hope this will become the new norm in our industry. Also, to drive progress, identify diverse successors before you need to fill jobs. Listen. Find ways to let people tell you what is working and what can improve. We as leaders need to facilitate diversity. If we do not ensure that diverse ideas get expressed and heard, we are not doing our job as leaders. Share your successes. I would be interested to learn what is working at your company. The WSWA will be a resource for this work. I thank you again for the honor and opportunity to serve during the coming year as your WSWA chair. In this, our 75th year, let's invest in our companies and invest in our unity. Enjoy the convention.